Hello again. Today I'm looking at MKOFTEN. Good grief. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think there's something in some zeitgeist that has resurfaced this topic. So something beamed this topic back into my brain, and I figured I might as well talk about it. So let's talk about MKOFTEN. Operation MKOFTEN, Project MKOFTEN. That's something I would ask, is why do... Everyone always mixes up Operation and Project. Maybe unintentional, maybe it's, there isn't an actual distinction between the two, but people always say Project Mockingbird, Operation Mockingbird, Project Northwoods, Operation Northwoods. Like, people always interchange Operation and Project for some reason, and I don't know if the distinction matters or not, but something inside of me always wants to get it right. Project Paperclip, Operation Paperclip, right? You know what I mean? No one says the Manhattan Operation, it's the Manhattan Project. So, I don't know. Something to think about. But what we're doing is we're looking at MKOFTEN. What was MKOFTEN? Project MKOFTEN. There we go. I called it Operation, now I'm calling it Project. But Project MKOFTEN was a covert U.S. Department of Defense program closely linked with the CIA, operating in the late 1960s into the early 1970s, but we know the truth, these things never really end, allegedly, as part of the broader MK search effort. Related to, like, MK Ultra, presumably, right? So the objectives of MKOFTEN: to test the behavioral and toxology effects of certain drugs on animals and humans, particularly prisoners and military personnel. The best guinea pigs there are: black convicts and black army personnel. Organizational context: MKOFTEN operated under MK Search, which in turn was a successor to MK Ultra, the infamous CIA mind control and interrogation program from the 50s to the 60s. Experiments were conducted at Edgewood Arsenal Research Laboratories. Edgewood. I don't know about you guys, but, you know, edging your wood, pretty common practice. So, Edgewood Arsenal Research Laboratories. Prison facilities like Holmesburg Prison in Philadelphia, so we've got those narrowed down. We've got Edgewood Arsenal Research Laboratories and Holmesburg Prison is where these experiments were conducted. The U.S. Army worked in conjunction with the CIA, funding the supervising research, often handled by contractors and Edgewood staff. Established around 1968 with specific sub-projects running until 71 or 73. How it fits into broader CIA and DoD programs. MK Search, MKOFTEN, MK Chickwit, MK Naomi, MK Delta. I wonder if Monarch runs into that as well. I wouldn't know, though. The naming system reflected a network of related experiments aimed at mind control, behavioral manipulation, and toxicology. I always understood MK as being mind control, but spelled with a K to, like, throw you off the scent. Back when this stuff was not widely known like it is now. But MK Search ran from the 65 to 73-ish, aimed to develop predictable drug-based behavioral control, and then MKOFTEN was a component of that effort. MK Chickwit, that's a new one for me, but it focused on identifying new psychoactive drugs in Europe and Asia. MKOFTEN evaluated those substances in controlled testing. Now, this is what I heard about MKOFTEN. This is what I really wanted to get into, which is the occult component. The alleged occult component. According to author Gordon Thomas, CIA Technical Services Chief Dr. Sidney Gottlieb initiated something called Operation OFTEN to explore the world of black magic. involving occult practitioners such as psychics, mediums, and Satanists. However, these claims appear isolated to that one source, with no confirmation from declassified documents or academic research. Is that right? The official U.S. government files and FOIA materials make no mention of any occult-related experimentation under MKOFTEN or MK Search. Thus, these occult claims remain unsubstantiated with credible records. A lot of this is all sourced from Wikipedia, which likes to shun topics like this, so I don't know. It's actually kind of frustrating. In 1977, the DoD had a memorandum regarding experimentation programs involving the CIA in drug testing on human subjects, and that breaks this down. It was submitted by the Office of General Counsel to Secretary of Defense on September 20th, 1977, and it reveals the results of a search into DoD involvement in CIA-sponsored programs that administered drugs to human subjects for mind control or behavior modification purposes. The scope of the investigation was the search covered military records from 1950 through present, present being in this case 1977, across Army, Navy, and Air Force institutions. What they found is the Army participated in 3 such programs between 1969 and 73, the Navy in 1947, and then 1973. There were 5 programs in the Navy in those years, and no involvement with the Air Force. In 4 of the 8 programs, the DoD's role was limited to channeling funds to external contractors as a purpose to conceal the CIA sponsorship. In 2 programs, there were no testing on human subjects, so 6 out of 8 isn't terrible, I guess, but 4 of the programs were terminated in the 1950s or early 1960s, while the remaining ones concluded in the 73. Again, aimed to test behavioral and toxicology effects of certain drugs on both animals and humans. And then there's also this transcript from the U.S. Senate 95th Congress First Session concerning human experimentation programs like Project Often. During the Senate hearings, a participant named Mr. Gordon confirmed, in Project Often, Senator, there was human testing involved. So that same guy, that's like the one source that talks about occult influence, is the guy that testified in front of the Senate. So maybe worth listening to. Another related CIA release adds that the final phase of Project Often ran from 67 to 73 and was terminated after media exposure of covert drug and chemical testing on humans. The occult allegations, the claims linking MKOFTEN to the occult, originate with author Gordon Thomas, particularly in his 2007 book, Secrets and Lies, where he alleges that CIA operative Dr. Sidney Gottlieb recruited occult practitioners, fortune tellers, mediums, Satanists, witches, psychics, astrologers, and others for the project. These assertions appear prominently in forums and derivative articles like the Military Fandom Wiki and Hand Wiki, but crucially, they are not substantiated by any declassified documents or official records. A 1978 Reason magazine commentary muses about the CIA's general interest in magicians' tradecraft, notably the hiring of stage magicians like John Mulholland to teach covert techniques, but it stopped short of linking MKOFTEN specifically to occultism. Okay, so from what I can get very quickly, it seems that we do not believe that MKOFTEN involved the occult. So that's what I have on MKOFTEN. Thank you.